Hello, I'm Barbie. This is the 746.4x podcast about knitting and craft things and whatever pops into my brain, which hopefully won't get too tangenty. This is take number 4. Don't know why it's very difficult this morning. Maybe I need a little more coffee, which I'm coffee. It's lovely. All right, let's try this again, shall we? Welcome. I hope everybody has had a fabulous 3 weeks. Obviously, I'm having a lot of trouble sticking to a schedule. A lot of stuff has been going on. I keep having things happening every weekend, whether it's the weekends I have off or if it's like this weekend where this is my only day off. But today I'm spending the day in making a knitting podcast, watching knitting podcasts, listening to knitting podcasts, and cleaning my house. Also knitting, a lot of knitting. Because I feel like I haven't gotten very much done in the past couple of weeks. Just things are not progressing very quickly. But anyways, welcome. And thank you to everybody who's tuning in and watching this. I have been completely overwhelmed with how many people are watching and how lovely everybody is, and it's just fabulous. I'm so excited. It's lovely. And thank you. And you all are beautiful and it's amazing. So I want to say thank you to Jenny from Tiny Paper Foxes because she gave me a shout out, which is very exciting because she's been a podcast I've been watching since I found that there are such things as knitting podcasts. So thank you, Jenny, and thank you to everybody who has maybe found my podcast through her. It's lovely. And yeah, this community is beautiful. It is. It's lovely. And I think I've said lovely 8 times in the past 2 minutes. Sorry. But I'm just overwhelmed by the beauty of everything, of all of the knitting land on YouTube and on Ravelry and all that. I just keep being amazed by how great a community this really is. So since I've done this 3 times already, I absolutely am a little, I feel like I get more and more scatterbrained every time because I can't keep track of what I've talked about because I feel like I've said it all already because I have. Anyways, let me see. So, you know what I've forgotten to say? Across the board, where you can find me. So, I am on Ravelry and Instagram as Library Maker. And pretty much anywhere else via social media. But yeah, so Ravelry and Instagram, Library Maker. And again, my name is Barbie. I think I said that already. I think last time I introduced myself as Barbara, or maybe all the times I've said Barbara, but on Ravelry, if you look me up, it's Barbie, and I go by both equally, and I respond to both equally, so whatever you want to call me. The library lady, that works too. I've been called that. I've actually been called that a lot. I've also been called, do you work here, a lot? Because when you're wandering around with books in your hand at a library, sometimes people can't tell if it's because you're checking the books out or because you're shelving them. But yeah, so, okay, let's talk a little bit about knitting. And I'm going to have another sip of coffee because clearly I need it this morning. You know what? Daylight savings time just started. That's why everything's weird. I haven't even looked at what time it is now. Sometime in the morning, because I'm still drinking coffee. But beyond that, I don't actually know what the time is going on. Okay, so let me see. I have not made much progress on my knitting. I just am not getting there. The end paper mitts that I've shown you in the past 2 podcasts, I haven't touched them. I think since I only have like 2 inches left to knit and then I have to weave in ends and do a thumb, I'm not that excited about them anymore. But I'll have to sit down and knit them this week maybe. I don't want to promise things. I'm not good at promising things. But, well, in regards to knitting progress, I keep promises, right? Whatever. More coffee. Y'all are lovely for putting up with me and my weirdness. So, in paper mitts, nothing's happened since the last time you saw them. Maybe next time, maybe not, but maybe next time they will be finished with loveliness and I can wear them just in time for the warm weather. Actually, I'll wear them at work year-round. I can't deal with air conditioning at all. I guess when you grow up with no air conditioning, every time you're in a building that's cold, it is completely, it's like working in an icebox. So I don't actually turn on the air conditioning in my house until it's over 90 degrees. And I'm sure most people would think that's a little bit weird, but it just means I get to wear wool year-round at work. My coworkers always think it's weird when I get to work. I bike to work or walk, and I get to work and I just like cover myself in wool as soon as I walk in the door, and they're mostly there just sweating in like as little as you can get away with while still being professional, which of course still means like sleeves and pants and regular length skirts and all that. But yeah, but I'm usually like, no, it's time for the wool now. Finally, I get to put it back on. So, in fact, I kind of think that it is, what is it? It is colder in air conditioning than it is when it's 50 degrees outside. I mean, I still wouldn't hang out in 50 degrees outside without a sweater on, but like, it's colder in 69-degree air conditioning. And more miserable. So I get to wear wool year-round. That was a nice little tangent, but that's okay. So what else have I been working on? I have been working on my Ursula cardigan. It just is taking, again, a long time. I'm trying not to let that stress me out too much, how long it's taking. But, oops-a-daisy. Okay, so, if I get it to not curl. The, last time it was down sort of in the pink, now I'm into the green. I don't know exactly how much longer I have to do the patterning before I do the armholes. There's no shaping in it, which means it's probably going to look pretty boxy on me, because I have to go with my bust measurement, which usually means everything looks like a sack. But since it's a cardigan, I think it'll work. I can always throw a little belt on over the cardigan. That's a really cute style that I am enjoying these days. I like that it's trendy. So that is still being worked on. And yeah, I hope it'll probably be done next winter. I'll keep working on it. It's great knitting for when my friends are coming over and hanging out at my house, but since it's a giant bag with like 10 balls of yarn in it, I typically don't take it out with me places because it's too much to carry around. Especially if I'm going, since I don't drive, everything I carry, you gotta sort of, you know exactly what's in your bag, and having an extra giant knitting bag is not something I want to walk a couple of miles with and then get somewhere and then knit on it. I'll take a sock. A sock's easy. So speaking of socks, there is a nice transition there. I've had a little bit of some sock mishaps. So, last podcast, I showed some socks that I was working on out of some lovely possum yarn. Well, that maybe isn't sock yarn. I'm going to turn the rest into like minis for blankets and swaps and all that. But here they are. Also, I don't know how to do socks well enough to just be able to take a heel pattern and stick it in a sock and have it work out, because this is basically a tube sock with a little beak on it. I did not. It's not right. Also, look at those toe decreases. Like, it's just like, let's cap it real quick, because it's quite a bit longer than my foot, which is really obnoxious because I don't know what I'm doing. But I went and I have now read a bunch of different sock patterns, and while this will go into my single mishap sock pile that I wear whenever I need socks around the house, I cast on a proper pair, and I'm not going to use the rest of this yarn for another pair of socks. It's just not something that worked out very well. So I did cast on a new pair of socks. I'm using this Patton's Croy sock yarn. I got a gift certificate for Joann Fabrics for the holidays, and I usually don't shop at Joann Fabrics. It's not the quality of fabric I enjoy. It's usually pretty crummy, and it's not what I like. So, and I like supporting small local businesses, like the local quilt stores, or I have ordered online from like small quilt stores that sell online elsewhere. You know, like not Etsy, but like Hearts Fabric. I've gotten fabric from them, and they're considered like a smaller store, has a brick and mortar store, and then they also do some online stuff. So I did not want to buy fabric, but a lot of podcasters have been talking about this Patton's yarn, and they sell that at Joann's, and they don't sell it at the typical yarn stores. It's just, I guess, considered a different grade of yarn. Just sort of like I consider Joann's fabrics not that great. But anyways, this is nice sock yarn. It's sock yarn. It's not fantastically indie dyed, fancy, but it's it seems to be doing well. It's doing a lot better than the one I was using, because it's made for this, as opposed to just being some interesting, fun yarn. So this is how it's knitting up. This is the turquoise jacquard pattern, and I think it is absolutely wonderful because it looks like those play mats that you can do for little kids to like have cars run around. Doesn't this look like roads and grass and sidewalk and sky? And I just love it. And I have traffic cone orange here and just some sunny yellow here. They're turning out wonderfully. And since I have now read several other sock patterns and have figured out how other people make sort of their plain vanilla socks, the fish lips kiss heel actually looks like it's supposed to and works. It still looks a little bit like a beak, but it actually fits on my heel, which is great. And I'm following the like stopping and starting points from some other patterns for like where to do toe decreases and stuff, because clearly I didn't know what I was doing the first time. So this might be a functioning pair of socks. I have two skeins. I have the one that's nearly finished here, and then I have a fresh skein for the second sock. And when I got this, there was another color I could get, because these are not very expensive. My gift certificate covered another pair of socks, so I think it's some sort of Halloween-y looking thing with some purple in it, and it's real pretty. When I knit those socks, I'll pull it out because I have no clue where I put it. It's probably buried deep in the stash of yarn. But I'm very pleased. I think I might like knitting socks. This is going pretty quickly. It's going quicker than anything else I'm working on, which is good because I need something with a little more what's the word I'm thinking of? I have no clue what I'm thinking of. Just the instant gratification. That's it. So I need some instant gratification in my life right now. And the stripes on here, that is totally like, oh, I just gotta get to the next black stripe. Oh, I just gotta get to the next blue stripe. And then as soon as I do that, it's like really, I think that's called potato chippy knitting, which is a wonderful term. I don't know who said that at first, because it's gone around the internets. But it's lovely, and so I'm enjoying knitting these socks. I have sort of put off everything else because these socks are fabulous and fun. So, yeah, let me see. So what else is on my list? We talked about how I haven't worked on the end paper mitts. We've talked about how the sweater is moving very slowly, but it's lovely. We've talked about all of my sock whatever mishaps and mistakes, and then also things working out, which is lovely. So let me see. Oh, I have a new work in progress. Well, a new old work in progress. So the this is still actually a Yuletide gift that will be a next year's Yuletide gift. That's how it works. I think I knitted 8 presents this past Yule, and only one didn't get finished, and I did all that while moving and starting a new job, so I'm pretty pleased with that. But this will be for next year. This is out of, it is another thing of palette, or no, it's not palette, more Knit Picks yarn though, which is, again, it's not, Knit Picks is kind of not the fanciest of yarn, but it's this one, Gloss. So this has merino and silk, 70% merino, 30% silk, fingering weight. It's making a mess. I'm messy, that's okay. And it's a scarf. It's a 1x1 rib scarf. I'm gonna block it a little bit wider than it is, but it'll be kind of skinny. Actually, I might start over. I've started over like 4 times. That's, do you notice the trend? I started the podcast over 4 times, starting the scarf over 4 times, had to redo the socks. I never get things right on the first try, but you learn from your mistakes. You start again. The only time that's happened that has been bad is when I'm using delicate yarn and the yarn just isn't worth it after the 4th restart, but I think this will be good. It's very soft. It's very, I don't like silk. I just don't like how it feels. I prefer to use rayon if I need that sort of shiny whatever. But yeah, it's great. It's a nice thing for my uncle. So I think after I get this sort of playmat colored sock pair of socks done, I will pick this up and just get this done and have it sitting waiting for next Yuletide. Just because I need to not forget about this. I have to actually finish it, which, that's okay. I'll get it done. Also, I want to show you. I made this bag. A friend of mine had a birthday and we made bags. We got to decorate tote bags, and we've all been obsessed with the Great British Bake Off. So this is, oh, I can't remember, one of the hosts, but Ready, Set, Bake. I was so excited when it turned out pretty well. So I like tote bags. Tote bags are my go-to bag for carrying my knitting around. They're easier than the little zipper pouches because you can carry them easier, and I tend not to be stationary when I'm knitting. I tend to actually be like walking. I knit while I shop and I knit while I walk to work. Not all the time, but it's getting warmer, so I can be able to knit more while walking. But yeah, tote bags are sort of my go-to bag, and I was very excited to make new one, to get to design a new one. Yeah, maybe that'll be a craft for an upcoming craft party. I have been having some craft parties, which is lots of fun. Takes up a lot of time though. So, okay. That's all I really have for knitting. So yeah, I guess I could tell you a little bit about what's been going on in the library this week. I started a book club, and it worked out wonderfully. We read a fabulous book, Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Simple, which had vastly mixed reviews within the group, which was great. What else did I do? We had a Photoshop class that I actually got to take as a student. As part of my training, we are opening up a new lab where, it came with the building, but it hasn't been open to the public yet, where all the computers have Photoshop on them, and not just Photoshop, the whole Adobe suite, and they are pretty, we're gonna have to be sort of support for that for our customers. I mean, we're already, when customers come into the library to use computers for any reason, we are basically not necessarily tech support, because we're not like fixing problems, but like, I don't know how to describe it other than like what a librarian is supposed to do. But you know, if somebody's like, I can't figure out how to paste this information into a Word document, I give them the steps to do that and sort of walk them through it. And we already do that with like Word and all the Office suite and how to use web browsers and how to do the internet. I mean, part of my job is to actually teach the beginning Office classes. So now that we're going to have computers with all this software, Adobe software and other podcasting software, I have to learn all of it to be able to do the exact same thing. For the most part, though, we're never going to be doing in-depth, really in-depth help. It's mostly going to be like, how do you crop a photo? If you need more than that, we can give you books and things, because we're not teachers, we are librarians. But anyways, it's really awesome, and I got to take the Photoshop class, which I feel like I'm finally getting comfortable with that program. It's not nearly as intimidating as I always thought it was, but it's pretty cool. So that happened in the library this week. Oh, adorable thing. There was a gentleman with his baby, and he put the baby on his shoulders, and the baby's head was the only thing you could see while he was walking in and out of the stack, so it looked like this floating baby's head, and it was the most adorable thing I've seen in the library in a long time. So I guess that's library news. Yeah, I think I've been debating on starting a Ravelry group, because this is only a third podcast and I'm not 100% like, I don't want to stress myself out over this, and I feel like a group might stress me out, but it also might be helpful, because one of the reasons I didn't podcast last week was I didn't have any real progress to show you. I hadn't gotten to this working sock. I had only gotten to the sock that I was having trouble with, and hadn't made any progress on the mitts, and you can't see much progress on my sweater, so I didn't know what to talk about. But today I'd had to do it today anyways, because otherwise it would just cease existing. But I'd like to know, what would you guys like to hear about beyond knitting, because clearly I don't knit very fast. If any suggestions, let me know. I might, if even just one person says, please make a Ravelry group, I probably will. And then there'll probably be some sort of thread on there, like, what would you like to see? Because that's a thing that happens in podcast land, I guess. Which is good, because, yeah, creating content is hard. That's one thing I always have to stress in all of the computer classes I teach. The computer is just a tool. Content creation is the hard part. if you come into the word class and expect to suddenly have like a story written that then you have to format, that's not how it's going to work. You're going to have to write the story first, and then I can teach you how to format it. Or a resume. You have to type everything up into the computer before you can start actually using the tools to make it look good. And that's something that surprises a lot of people. And I guess, yeah, I have to have content for the podcast for it to happen. So I have rambled on long enough, and I'm clearly going off on wacky tangents now. But, yeah, so I hope everybody is having a wonderful week and wonderful past few weeks. And if you are in the northern hemisphere, you are getting closer to enjoying some springtime weather. It's been so nice this week. I haven't had to wear a coat all week, and I love it. I'm so sick of feeling like I'm wearing 40 pounds of extra clothing. So, yeah. Happy knitting, happy crafting. Lots of exciting things for you in the good, happy, exciting way. And, all right. See ya.